Believe it or not, there's a candy concoction that won't add to your waistline this holiday season. Not sure if it'll satisfy your sweet tooth, but it will capture your imagination. This midday news specialist Jay Coles takes us on a tour of some new buildings in downtown Salt Lake City.
Management decided that they wanted to do something that was not commercial on Main Street, and that was something that would go along with the decorations on Temple Square and with the city and for downtown and for children.
That non-commercial Zcmi Christmas display turned out to be a gingerbread city-county building, a Pez Capitol Theater, a candy cane McCune mansion, a hard candy Zcmi store, a jelly bean Saltaire, and a sour candy stick Hotel Utah. Zcmi first introduced the candy building display about 18 years ago.
But they were just imaginary buildings. They weren't anything real. And I thought then it would be great if someday if we could do historical buildings, you know, in Salt Lake if possible.
Each replicated historic building features candy that best duplicates the actual structure.
On the city and county, we wanted the gingerbread to represent in a way the stone. The Pez on the Capitol Theater represents the bricks, and it's done in the same pattern as the actual building.
Finding dozens of different candies to match each building was no simple task. Stevens says crafting the Capitol Theater, for example, with Pez candy bricks, took enormous patience.
It took time working with different candy manufacturers, and we had to send to the factory, the Pez factory, 3 times. We kept running out of the right color, so they did special runs for us.
Each of the buildings has a wooden base with the candy glued to the structures. Workers started crafting their candy facsimiles last spring. They envisioned the project would take on all the authentic, intricate details of the original buildings. But along the way, creative juices flowed, and that led to subtle changes on each creation, with the city-county building, for example, getting jolly old St. Nick.
We decided as it progressed that it needed more color and should be a little more fantasy and whimsical, and instead of a Statue of Justice on the clock tower, there's a little Santa Claus.
Once the candy carbon copies were completed, workers at the Zcmi warehouse precariously loaded them onto trucks for transport to their final resting place in the display windows of the Zcmi Main Street store.
We got large boxes and laid the sections of the buildings in, and then took the little styrofoam peanuts that you use for packing and just poured over the top of them. And we didn't have any damage in transporting them.
Since their appearance on Main Street, the candy replicas have caught the fancy of many passers-by, old and young alike. And if your unyielding sweet tooth calls for more, they are edible, somewhat.
You'd have to pick through some glue and hot glue and silicone.
The candy buildings are on display through New Year's Day. After that, Zcmi officials say they'll try to donate them to a children's group or to someone who appreciates the sweeter side of art.
I'd appreciate it.
Yeah,
look at the crowds.
It'll be hard to get up close enough to see it. I think it's nice that they did such a non-commercial theme, if you will. They're not selling any boots or coats or...
I think it's nice they didn't have to have a scaffold in front of the city-county building either.
I do too. That's history. Well, more Midday in just a minute. Stay with us.